Hi, I'm Ying, a real estate professional here in the San Francisco Bay Area. If this is your first time here in our channel and you'd like to know what it's like to work, live, play, eat, sleep, and buy and sell real estate in the Bay Area, then you've come to the right place. Go ahead and subscribe and leave a comment so that way you get notified every time we upload a video.
We post new videos every week and we get asked questions about how it's like to live here and what to expect, and we just love it. We got you when you have a question and you just got to call, text, or email us. We will be sure to get right back at you.
Number 1, earthquake. When I first moved here, I didn't realize earthquake is part of California experience. I didn't really think about the risk of earthquake, even though it was in the back of my mind. Until a couple years ago, when I read one of the articles published in New York Times about a government study that listed some of the most prominent high-rise buildings in San Francisco being highly vulnerable if there was ever an earthquake in the area. And that almost freaked me out. However, after a while, life goes on and you forget about it. You might want to check out the article if you plan on staying close to the city, just so you can avoid being close to those buildings. Some interesting earthquake facts are that California has tens of thousands of them each year, and around 5,000 or so are in and around the San Francisco Bay Area. And even though there are a large number every year, the likelihood of you feeling it today or tomorrow is very small. I've lived here 15 years or more, and I only felt maybe 3 or 4 times during that period. The good news is that most of those thousands of earthquakes are very small, 3.0 or less on the Richter scale, so you can't even feel it. Apparently, the smaller ones are necessary and welcomed, since they can help relieve some of the tensions in the fault line so the large ones don't happen. Again, I've lived here many years and I only felt it 3 or 4 times. However, if the thought of earthquake gives you stress, freaks you out, then we can totally understand. Personally, I had one relative that would not even visit us when I moved here in the Bay Area because he was afraid of earthquake.
Number 2 is the weather. Why is the weather always nice in California? When we complain our winter is cold at 50s, the rest of the country laughs at us for being a wimp. And for some people, it's not so interesting because there is no 4 season. There is no distinction between seasons, mainly. So California has a generally Mediterranean style climate due to the drier nature of the US West of the 100th parallel and the influence of the Pacific Ocean. And the effects are: 1, California doesn't get much humidity, and if it does, it's on the mild side. 2, California has all the different temperature zones between 60s to 90s as an average. So you can pick where you want to be, depending upon your personal preferences. And 3, most California does not have harsh winters. The temperature goes up and down a little bit, not a lot. But one thing to watch out for is in the summer, the temperature difference during the day and night could be between 30 to 40 degrees. So daytime high may be 85 and evening could go down to like the 50s. And San Francisco is notorious for being the home to the coldest summer, as many visitors expecting super hot days braces for the cold evening air and buys a jacket just to keep warm. There are microclimates in the Bay Area. Some might call it neighborhood to neighborhood scale. Many variations don't lend themselves to neat lines on a map. They're more like fine gradations, making it tough for newcomers to know. And with recent climate change, This pattern is also being distorted. That's why you need to call us. Tell us what you would like or don't like when it comes to climate. We got your back. One more word about humidity. As they say in Georgia or Florida or North and South Carolina and even Arizona or Texas, it's not the heat, it's the humidity that gets you. If you constantly feel sticky, or if you walk out into the hot weather and immediately sweat so much you need a second shower, you know that's not the place you want to live. So in California, humidity is low, and as a result, you feel like you're in a resort location most of the time. Plus, other than in the super hot desert or in the high Sierra Mountains, most of the state had mild weather most of the time, which gets California the famous complaint: there is no four seasons, and it's not very interesting. There is no real winter here, so be aware.
Number 4, high cost of living. I think this topic needs no introduction for California, especially the Bay Area. California is ranked at the top of national average, and Bay Area is ranked at the top of California. Every ranking index websites you look at, Bay Area is either number 1 or number 2 or number 3. It's at the top. The average home price across US is $374,000. However, in California, as according to the California Association of Realtors, the average home price is more than double. It's $818,000. And it almost double again for Silicon Valley. The average home here is $1.3 million. On a smaller scale, if we take my favorite McDonald's breakfast, sausage, cheese, egg, McGriddle, it's $11.79 in San Francisco. The same exact meal cost only $6.70 in RTP, North Carolina, the Research Triangle Park area, which is where I lived before moving to California. So there you have it. Big items, big ticket items in terms of housing is a lot more, and down to the smaller ticket items, McDonald's meal is costing a lot more here in Silicon Valley. One thing is I realized boba tea, if you're a boba tea drinker, they're very similar. Go figure.
Number 5, traffic. San Francisco Bay Area grew at a much faster rate than the planned transportation systems. As a result, we don't have enough freeways or public transit systems, and with relatively high affluence, everybody has a car. And since this is the birthplace of Tesla, we often see 5 to 10 Tesla models in a parking lot. So we have plenty congested freeways, and even though our freeway system may not be as bad as LA traffic, you can definitely feel the congestion during the usual commute hours. And what's worse, Californians in general have no patience and also don't know how to drive, even in just raining weather, let alone snowy or icy conditions. And maybe this is one of the reasons why autonomous driving is developed and tested in California extensively. Rideshare also was born here in San Francisco since it's hard to park and therefore to own a car. As housing prices are high, many workers live farther and endure the long commute to work. Our normal commute time is about 30 to 45 minutes, so an hour commute is considered on the longer side, but some live as far away as about an hour and a half one-way commute. Of course, in the last couple of years, with the pandemic, this is changing, and living farther away with more space has gained popularity. Let us know your employer location and how often you go into office, and we can suggest cities, communities that meet your requirement.
Number 6, it's a melting pot here of all ethnicity, all cultural language background. If someone comes here with a very set mindset of what it should be or how things should go, then they might be frustrated at times. We have people from all over the world immigrating here, people with different background, language, skill sets. So when we're out driving and walking, we're gonna have chances of encountering other people, situations where we're not used to. And unless we're being open-minded, we're going to be frustrated. Sometimes you might be behind a slow and timid driver who's just learning to drive or just immigrated here. And somebody that's familiar with the road might get impatient and started honking. Chinese drivers, since I'm Chinese, I can say that. Chinese drivers are notorious for slow driving due to our risk-averse natures, and I got honked many times. California has been attracting immigrants for over 100 years, and Bay Area certainly has its share of newcomers. Initially, it was the Hispanic community, then the Chinese, Indians, and in the more recent years, all the tech workers, engineers from all over the world. Because there's so many of us whose first language weren't English, even the English spoken here has many accents. Nowadays, with the mask on, we all have to be even more patient, otherwise it'd be really hard to understand. There are churches, temples, mosques, synagogues, and more. The point is, we're all different, we're all from somewhere, and we're all here for the American dream. If you're working in one of the tech companies, you're going to find there must be a dozen or so different foreign languages being spoken in the office, well, whenever you go back to the office. And unless someone can really be open-minded and be diversity-minded and inclusion-minded, then they might have a hard time, might be frustrated. Number 7, too much food diversity creates confusion. The other day, my daughter and I discussing what to have for dinner. We said, Mexican? She said, okay, good. Chipotle, taqueria, or food truck? How about food truck? Sounds great. Then she asked, burrito, wet burrito, California burrito, dry burrito. Too many choices. I had to ask her for explanations. What is a California burrito versus all the other choices? So after about 20 minutes, we were still discussing. And at some point, one of us got frustrated. Too many choices can be confusing, but most of the time, we are very appreciative of the wide selection of ethnic food around here in the Bay Area. We're very fortunate to have so many choices. The Taiwanese food here will remind you of the smells from the night market in Taipei. In Fremont, there are 3 very authentic Shanghainese restaurants just within 5 miles of each other. And that would definitely take you back to the midnight snack streets that doesn't even exist today in Shanghai. If you're watching and you're from our area, please comment below of your go-to restaurants and your favorite dishes, so we'll make sure we include it on our list. To accommodate the diversity of our community, we have assembled a very diverse team of top agents to serve you. We got you covered, almost every language, background. All you have to do is call, email, or text us.
So number 8, homeless tents and crime on the street. You might have seen news reports on YouTube videos about homelessness tent in San Francisco. Well, during the last 2 years while the pandemic is going on, the homeless tents are becoming visible in almost every city, including San Jose, Oakland, Fremont. Along with more tents, there are safety concerns, and there are people blaming Governor Newsom for the lenient policy to petty crimes. We have seen some CVS stores closing since when folks walk out of the store with merchandise less than $950, employees are discouraged to engage, and that leaves the store empty-shelved and leads to the closure. It is heartbreaking to see the tents, and we are confused as to why we have so many homeless people in one of the richest states. If we look at California as a country, we would rank number 6 in world economic output. And speaking of crime, we have seen our shares of Asian hate crimes, with Asian elderlies being attacked in broad daylight. And we wonder, what has the world come to? Of course, this is not just a San Francisco issue or Fremont issue. It's a California issue or even a US issue. If you're concerned about homeless tents, leave comments below if you already live here in the Bay Area and let us know what you think the problem is and what might be the solutions. A list like this is not complete without the mention of California state taxes, from individual income tax to sales taxes. Of these two, among the 50 states, California ranks number 1 on both. You can look up the exact percentage. In this category, California leads the nation. Now, in terms of other taxes, for instance, property tax, actually, in that case, Texas leads the way. And there are also other states who have no state tax, no state individual income tax, that is. If you're in the mood to research for which state to move to, make sure to check that out. But California, in this regard, is not one of the best. It's, in fact, from a state tax standpoint, it is the worst out of 50 states. To summarize, we got shaky ground, we have no season, we have dry air, no rain, we have many forest fires, we have bad traffic and too much diversity, we have confusing genre of food, the homeless population, and high taxes. And with that, we still possibly missed a few others, which you could help us refine and update this list. Comment below for your favorite reason or reasons not to move to Silicon Valley, or for you to move out of Silicon Valley.